All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Palmcast. Teddy, I can't believe it's been a week since we did this. I'm glad that it took 5 years of you poking and prodding me to finally get me to do this, but the feedback has been overwhelming. I'm thrilled to be back, man. Awesome to see you again. How are you?
Man, I'm good. Same thing. It feels like this is like our 100th episode, not our second one. But it
Yeah.
might be because I think you and I are just as excited as everybody else. So we're just nonstop talking about it too.
Yeah, it's great because how you and I said on the first episode of this, it feels like you and I ramble on every day. So the fact that now we're just recording it and allowing everybody else to partake and be involved is great, man. So it's good seeing you again. So what's happened in the last week, man? What's new?
Man, spring's been, you know, getting closer. Basically, I don't know. I look at the calendar tells us one thing, but I go by the weather. If it's nice out, it's springtime. And what that's done, man, is I've been getting orders like crazy now. So I've been busy with that, trying to pot up some more stuff in the greenhouse and meet the demand. And then I had a crazy weekend. I left out Friday night late and drove all the way to Charleston, South Carolina for the Southeastern Palm Society for the winter meeting. And that was yesterday on Saturday at the Magnolia Plantation and Gardens. I put some little videos up on my YouTube. People can check that out if they want. Um, but that was a really really cool place. Not too heavy on palms, but it's like got that really like deep southern live oaks with um, Spanish moss hanging everywhere. There's tons of old palmettos though throughout the whole property. Camellias and is like their main thing. Magnolias and camellias. It was really really cool place. And those meetings are really good too. Like if anybody's not familiar with the Southeastern Palm Society, um, it's just a bunch of guys that really a lot of the members have known each other for like 20, 30 years. And they're all into the hobby like we are. Some people grow a little bit more than others, like Gary's a member. Um, but man, if you want to just show up to a cool place, you get a free membership. All you have to do is sign up. You get entry to these awesome gardens, and there's always parking lot sales before. So people bring everything they've got, trade or sell for super cheap. So if you want to find like some really killer stuff, that is the place to go. And then right after the meeting, hopped right back in the car, blazed back here, and just been ready to get on here and do this dang episode 2, man.
Yeah, it's going to be an episode 2, but it's going to be part 2. I should have said that. This is part 1. We have a good idea for what we'll be doing today. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm as excited as you are. I've been chomping at the bit all week. I'm a little surprised at how excited everybody has been. The amount of people who have reached out. I've gotten texts from people that I haven't heard from in a while who had made the comment like, "Hey man, I love the show. I wish it was longer." So to that, it's not going to be 40 minutes, guys. Now we're going to make it 60 minutes every single time. So we'll give everybody an hour because everybody has to have an hour of us, evidently. I don't know why, but hey, I'll give it to you. But yeah, I'm with you, man. So I'm excited to be here. It's to your point about the spring. It's been very interesting in North Texas. It's only February, but we had a couple days this week where we hit like 70s and 80s. The greenhouse hit 96, 97 this week. So if I was in there, I'd be dying. I'm not ready to take the cover off it yet. Still a little bit early. This morning we hit 33 or 34. Tomorrow we hit a little over 30 or 31. Nothing that I'm concerned about, but all my fruit trees don't have any flowers out yet, so that's good. So I feel spring's on the way. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm in the same spot I was last week. I have my minor behind me. Sun is right behind me, beating down on my back. So it feels amazing to be down here. It's been a busy week, just like you. Evidently, everyone's all waking up from all the palms or from the spring or from the winter in spring because evidently everyone's buying palms now. So I feel your sympathy of packing all week long constantly. But it's been good, man. It's a blessing. I appreciate everybody and all your help and support. I know you do too. So we uh we appreciate everybody and all your love of cold hardy palms. So, the last week, the one thing that's interesting, I'll make a comment is that, I've gotten access to both the Sable Antilensis and the Logidiana. And that might even be a show in and of itself because those are very, very interesting palms. They're endemic to the island of Curacao and Bonaire, thought to be almost extinct at one point or near extinction. Um, you know, Non-mature ones, there were 20, 21 of the Logidiana out in the wild or in habitat rather. And any seedlings that grew off the ground got eaten by goats. So essentially all you had was 20, 21 mature species or 20 to 21 mature specimens. And they've been doing lots of conservation efforts down there. So I've got access to seeds or to plants rather. And so I've got those up in the shop, and I'm pretty excited to actually have those because they're not very common. We know quite little about them, truly what the hardiness is from what I've seen at least. Some have seen, issues in the mid 20s or low 20s, but I'm excited to get those in the hands of people and be able to grow those out. So that's kind of been my week, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, man, a couple things. For one, I got to plug something here. Um, so the Southeastern Palm Society, the president is Tom McClendon, a friend of yours and a friend of mine as well. And for everybody listening, we've got our first special guest lined up. Tom McClendon's going to be the first special guest. He's going to come on and do an episode with us, and I cannot wait. I'm going to pick his brain and just wring it out like a wet towel and get everything out of it.
Tom is, Tom's a great guy. I don't want to ruin or take away from that show, but Tom's a great guy. I met him years ago, and he is literally like a wealth of knowledge. It's unbelievable the amount of knowledge him and Joe have both. They're both rock stars, and
The
you
most
know.
humble guy too.
Seriously. Yeah. And one of the things he'll expand on, but one of the things he told me recently was, the more I learn, the more I realize that I don't know all that much, right? So there's so much to learn and there's so much that we just don't know. So I'm very happy about that. We're gonna have part one today, part two of this series next weekend, and then we'll do Tom for episode 4. So today we wanted to focus on a little bit about our journey, right? People have asked us, how did you guys go from just having some palms in the yard to growing not just a dozen, 2 dozen palms to growing thousands? What was the journey? What have you learned? Just kind of empty your brain out a little bit. So I'm going to ask you, Teddy. We heard your history last time, which is very similar to mine. But how did you go from just wanting to grow a bunch of cold hardy palms to wanting to be a purveyor of an amateur nursery?
So I think the answer of just like that definitive moment, what we both had that. And it was we're gardeners and we're palm lovers. And really at first, we were just trying to get all the cold hardy stuff that we could, plant it, test it out in our own yard, and get them as big as we can, as quick as we can. The problem with that is, where do you get them? You can't just go to your local nursery and buy a Sabal tamilipensis, even finding small Sabal palmettos, like for how common palmetto is, where do you go get it? Can you just drive to the store and get one? I can't. So that just that need and uh, that desire really just lit that flame for me, and I think it did for you too. I don't want to speak for you, but um, I know we originally talked about that, and I had like fooled around and had some seeds and started them um, on the heat mat over winter, and that was like where it originally started. Was like, all right, I want this laundry list of 20, 30 palms that I want to grow here. Can't find them. I'm just going to grow them from seed. I don't care. So then it was just, all right, now the next problem. I know what I want to do. How do I start doing it? Where do I get the seeds from? And at first, I just would take 5, 10 seeds from anybody that would give them to me. Um, and the main next step was uh, I actually ordered 4,000 Sabal minor seeds.
I remember that. I thought you were crazy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Birds of a feather flock together, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
So yeah, I started those 4,000 seeds, and I started them outside in a raised bed. It seems like I must have gotten close to 90 or above percent germination. I had so many seedlings. They overwintered in the ground the first winter. Just put a tarp over them, and then that next year I just started potting them up like crazy. And I had tons of stuff already, like 10 or 15 sable palmettos, a few sable Louisianas. This is all potted stuff. Like your average like backyard guy that's into palms. He's got palms. Um, so now I think maybe I potted up 2,000 of these things, and then the whole time I'm doing it, it's spring, summer, fall. So who cares? Just leave them outside. But I'm like, oh my god, I have got to have a greenhouse. I got to have somewhere to put these. So my first step was I converted half of my basement garage, like our house is kind of on a hill, so you drive around the back, and the back of the garage is exposed. Like the garage door is open. There's two of them, and then that's our basement also. So I took out one of the garage doors, walled it up, put a giant picture window in there, and basically made like a south facing, garden room. Packed that thing over the winter full of all this crap that I had. Um, and just instantly, I knew though, like greenhouse, I have to have a greenhouse. So then, without really drawing anything down on paper, um, my backyard slopes straight to the south. And I was like, did some research. I was like, I have got to build a greenhouse. I'm just going to dig out and excavate this slope and build it partially buried in the ground. And that was right when, like, I think you were really, really starting to get heavy into this. You might have already been selling by that point. I can't remember. Um, and you were like, just telling, poking me with all this stuff. Man, you've got to do this. You got to get an Etsy shop. You've got to, you know, start promoting your brand. You've got to get a YouTube, like all this stuff you were doing. And I was like, I'm not ready. It's going to take me a little bit. So from that point that I started digging and excavating dirt with a shovel, it took me 4.5 years to get this damn greenhouse built. And, and it could have been almost instant, but it was because I wanted to do it buried and build these rock walls. And this is where, like you said it before, it really probably is because we're crazy, like what we're doing. Um, because what do they say? There's a fine line between insanity and genius.
Yep. Yep.
It's hard to measure sometimes. So I had this plan. I knew what I was going to do. And every weekend I worked on it, just digging it out by hand, wheelbarrow and shovel. Finally got it excavated out. Started just hauling rocks home in my trunk, and then started actually, doing the rock and mortar walls, which was cool. I really liked that too. Um, But that was like no even sight in mind of like starting to sell anything yet, and just so much time and effort and money that I put in up front, and just a pure labor of love with this goal in mind that I wanted. And we did, you and I decided we were going to do this podcast unscripted, but I'm still going to brainstorm a little bit before for sure. And one thing that I just kept thinking about of how am I going to explain this to people so they understand how both of us really got to this point. There's one word that sticks out to me, and it's just being relentless. Like, so now I've got fast forward, I've got an established nursery. I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 thousand plants. Um, YouTube channel, Etsy store, eBay store, sell on Facebook,
A
word
podcast?
of mouth, podcast now, yeah. So I've got a full-time, super demanding job. Um, I've got 4 kids, a wife, 4 dogs. Um, I'm a gardener too, so I'm not just growing palms in the greenhouse. I'm looking for stuff and finding stuff, building raised beds, fertilizing, watering everything outside too. So I'm super busy. So my point is I built this business and this labor of love at first, after all of those other things. And the thing that helped me, and I think the thing that helps a lot of people be successful, is you've really got to just dig deep and just be relentless. Those days when it's cold and raining out, you don't want to go outside, still go outside. Follow your hobby. If you can't go outside, do something inside related. Always thinking about it, doing research. This is years ago. Um, Weekends, people are going on trips or doing barbecues, and I'm just working on my hobby constantly. Um, Hundreds of hours a month, spent doing this. And then every day, every week, every month, and every year, not letting up, not letting anything uh, allow me to fail. And I think that's real. This translates to anybody's hobby, anything you want to do. You want to get a new job, a new career. Um, you have got to be relentless, and don't let yourself get in your own way from, letting you achieve that goal. And it sucks a lot of times, man. It sucks. Even now with the greenhouse, like fast forward to now, everything's set up and it's easy. We've got muscle memory, so we do all this stuff really easy. Um, but man, I've got to run this wood stove behind me to keep it warm in the winter. And when it's really cold outside, like below 10 degrees, I've got a fire going as soon as I get home from work, load it up really heavy before I go to bed at like 9:30. Get up at midnight, come down and load it up again. Get up at 4 in the morning and ready for work and load it up again with wood. And all that's part of my hobby. And this is that being relentless. Like, you gotta you've got to be willing to do things that other people aren't. And that's what sets
Yep.
us apart from a guy that grows 20, 30 palms in his backyard, to you and I, who are starting to really, really gain ground and get some national coverage. And we've got thousands of palm trees, that are well grown too, I might add. So that's the key word of my spiel so far. And that's kind of got me up to what my first 1 or 2 years was. Yeah, just growing palms, selling a few, but nothing really crazy. Still building the greenhouse, and I could visualize this end state, like where I'm at now, without having anything on paper, without really being able to explain it to my wife super well either. Just telling her, you got to trust me, and you wait until you get to the end, and you'll be happy.
And they think you're nuts too, right? Have fun trying to explain the nonsense that we've been doing over the past couple years to anybody, much less our wives and our kids who see us doing this insane stuff all the time, and they're like, "What are you doing? Why?"
Sure. Yeah. So that leads me up to what, one, year two, maybe. And I rambled quite a bit. So what about you, Tom? Tell us, I guess, what lit that spark for you and how you knew you had to make this dream come true that you've built, you know? And man, let me say, like, people know who I am, you know, but my God, Sable King though, like I'm not touching the kind of visibility that you've got. So like
Self-proclaimed. Self
let
until someone says I'm not the Sable King, like no one's really said anything. So until someone challenges me, I mean, I have the name.
the Sable intergalactic commander.
Man, yeah, dude, I relate to your story a lot too. It's not a whole lot different, just a couple states southwest of you. But yeah, man, I told my story of how I moved down here. I got palms planted by a landscaper. Everything died after a winter storm in 21. You know, I went on this quest of trying to buy stuff online, and just the experience, the availability was just terrible. And I just knew that, you know, however you start a business, like there's got to be. And initially, I wasn't even thinking to start a business, to be totally candid with you. Initially, it was a way to pay for my habit, right? Like any good drug user, you've got to be able to sell what you're using. And I was, not that I'm a drug dealer, by the way, but I literally,
Perfect analogy though.
absolutely. Um, I think the first year, like I said, I bought, it's got to be 125 to 150 liner sized sables, from like Birmingham's to Louisiana's to Brazoriensises to miners, anything I can get my hands on, Palmetto Mexicanas. um, I just bought a lot of stuff and I planted it very, very quickly because I thought, man, I'm buying them all small. I know it's going to take time to grow, so I got to get off my rear. So I did, and I was like, you know what? This experience sucked, and it taught me that there's got to be a better way of doing this. So I started growing stuff just to do it because I wanted to help other people who had the same challenge as me, you know? And I started just like you, 20 seeds, 50 seeds, or whatever it was. The first winter, like in 2021, I want to say maybe I had like 50 or 75 plants, maybe. And I remember telling my parents, and my mom is like, "Are you nuts? Why do you have 100 palms? Like, what are you doing?" And I still get Facebook actually now uh, that shares things with me. And it's like, here's a photo from back in 2021, and it's in my garden area. And I thought I was so smart. I didn't have that many plants at the time, but I built these, like, out of half-inch PVC. I built these frames that I put all my nursery bags in, and it kept everything organized and nice and neat. And then, you know, it was easy bringing stuff in the garage. It was 50 to 100 things. But I remember I told my wife, I said, honey, if in year one I can make $300, like I would be happy. And I like smashed that number. And I said, I think there's something here. Like that was the year that I outperformed any metric I set for myself. And from there, I just started finding seeds from good, reputable people. I try to find seeds and genetics from cold tolerant stuff. And I just grew from 50 to 75 to 100. Year two was two or 300. I got to the point where I think it was in year three that we had raised garden beds in the area that I had my seedlings. And that was where we had our tomatoes and all our vegetable stuff. I told my wife, I was like, we're not going to grow any vegetables this year because A, I need the dirt from in the raised garden beds, and two, I need the room. I got to put my seedlings in there. So I was packing my seedlings on the ground in the raised garden beds. And then at later on that year, I was putting them in between all the garden beds. And basically, I then had a little path in between everywhere. And I was just like, man, this is really exploding. And the first winter, you know, I'm in North Texas, so we usually have one or two crappy 3 to 5 day spans at a time. And the first winter, it wasn't that bad. I had to take my vehicle and back it up, go by my garden, load a whole 50 palms at a time, bring them back up to the garage, unload them, and do that whole thing a couple times. And then the second year, it was I had hundreds. And then 2 years, 2 winters ago, I got to the point where I had thousands, and I had to buy all these shelves, and I had 4 layers of shelves in the greenhouse, and we had 5 shelves per row, and we had like 6 rows, and it just got so ridiculous. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually turning into something. And so I just grew and grew and grew. But honestly, I grew on the back of our customers, people who just, all you guys who are watching, who just want palms. So I just thank everybody for all your support of us both. I know Teddy's the exact same way. We're extremely humble. We truly appreciate everybody, all your support, all your guidance, all your feedback, positive and negative. I'll take everything. I won't ever turn any feedback away. All your guys is sharing pictures of our stuff and interacting with us. All of that has gotten us to, or from that first couple of years to where we are today, and to the point of having a podcast where you guys want to see our ugly mugs for an hour at a time and hear an hour of our yapping. So just a big thank you to everybody out there who's watching, who's listening, and who's bought us our palms all throughout the way. Anybody who's sent me seeds from your plants, I appreciate you as well. You indirectly are helping all of our customers. So I thank everybody. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my story. It's just unexpected growth, to be totally candid with you. But it's been fun, man. It's been a lot of, I, like you, I learned a greenhouse. I knew I would have to get a greenhouse eventually, but I didn't realize how wildly important they are, and how even without heating them, the amount of heat that they trap just from the sun is absolutely incredible. So yeah, I'm with you. I did a greenhouse last January, so we're a little over a year of having our greenhouse, and man, it's been a just an absolute game changer, man. Absolute game changer.
Yeah, greenhouse is it's a necessity. But like I said, you don't realize it at first because all this stuff can grow outside too, you know. And then we just pack it in. Like for me, it was pack it into the plant room when I had less. Um, into the garage too. You know, you can put them in the garage for a week at a time. Who cares? They don't need sunlight for a week.
Yeah.
So anybody at home, like watching this, um, again, like this, me and you are in the hobby too. We're not just growers and business owners. Um, man, I encourage everybody to do this, and I encourage them more to do it because then they'll appreciate when they buy something from somebody like us or even a bigger grower, a huge nursery, the time and effort it takes that you have to put in to get going from a seed to going to a full size grown plant. So like it's super easy for us when you grow out 40, you're not just watering one plant at a time. You water all 40 at the same time, you know, like with a hose, for example. Man, now you're on drip irrigation in your greenhouse. You're in like the future. I'll get there one day, maybe, but uh
Man, it didn't happen easily, trust me. And I'm not even fully drip, I'll tell you. I mean, yeah, the outsides of my greenhouse, the larger stuff is still by hose. But yeah, the drip, dude, if you can do it, um, organization. I mean, I don't have the luxury of a gigantic, penthouse greenhouse how you have, man. You have a killer greenhouse. I will tell you before we go any further, kudos to what you did, because I saw you do all that. I know, I like you, I didn't mention it, but I have a family of 6 as well. I have a demanding job as well. And somehow people are like, how do you fit all of this in? And probably the same answer you give everybody else. The answer is honestly, I don't know. I have no clue. To your comment about the grinding part, right? Like, being so relentless. Same thing. I don't know how I fit all this in, but what you did, man, that greenhouse is absolutely killer. So Congratulations. It looks awesome. Mine, it's just a Quonset, hoop house, if you will. So it's not aesthetically pleasing. It does the job, but you have a work of art that I love that you used what you have, right? Like that's the one thing I'm gonna do at the ranch, which is a whole nother episode all in and of itself. But the fact that you built the greenhouse into the ground to capture the earth and warmth and the ambient temperature of the ground, and plus it just looks nice, man. I love your wood stove. I did propane this winter, which is not bad because I only used it literally for maybe 3 days, 2.5 days max. But if I had as much cold as you do, I do a wood stove as well. But yeah, man, kudos. You have an awesome greenhouse. It looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, it's out of necessity too, though. Like because I want all the palms to look as good as possible. So I'm gonna spend that time and come down and load up the wood stove um and I guess back to what I was starting to get into was like if you've got you know a nursery tray full of 40 palms like in small bags or small pots, you're doing everything at the same time to all of them. You're gonna fertilize all of them,
Yep.
you water all of them, and if you have even more, you have hundreds or thousands. It's almost easier to water them all because you just put the hose on shower and spraying everything at the same time. Like it. So your time invested per plant when you have more is actually less per plant, if that makes any sense.
It does. I agree
Somebody
with you.
can uh you're putting all that same amount of work in that I am for 1,000 or more. But man, like how much of a labor of love is it at first? Like buying soil, buying grow bags, buying pots, buying fertilizer, uh, realizing you need more hose, but having hundreds of feet of hose and sprayers and then nursery trays and oh my gosh, like the list is like endless of the amount of just like upfront labor love stuff that you and I both had to do before we ever sold one. You know what I mean?
Dude, on the topic of labor of love, the one thing that you missed out in your description is the dumb mistakes, the stupid mistakes, and the
Oh,
learning, right? Like,
oh
how
my God.
many times do you hear from somebody, don't do that because this is gonna happen, and then you message me and you're like, yeah, that's just it's just not how it works. It's like the I've been cheered on by a lot of people who, I didn't set out to do this for this reason, but I've been cheered on. People are like, what you're doing in a variety of aspects, right? Whether it be the growing, whether it be the availability of the sables, but not covering anything at all in Dallas, being able to go and sacrifice things, right? Like I said last time, I want to grow a Maritima so bad, but I've killed three of them and I've given up. I mean, it's not a zone 8A, 8B, even its struggles in Savannah. I know Joe Levert kind of has given up at this point as well. I'm not going to bother at my ranch either. So people are like, the science for what you guys are doing is great, right? So even just that alone is a labor of love. Just the mistakes and being able to screw up and kind of keep going, right? And I think with that, so let's transition to because I think we have about a half an hour on this one left, but we're gonna do a part two, and I think we could probably easily do the next half of this one and the next episode part on this topic alone, right? So some of the things that we've learned along the way, right? Because when you grow 10, 15, or 20, there's a lot of guys out there who are doing this and they sell on eBay or Etsy or Facebook Marketplace or on the groups or whatever it is. And that's great. Like you said, I love it. I think we need more people to get involved in this because the more people, the more information we have, and I think the better we are at everything. So I don't see any of that as a problem or a threat. But like when you look at, let's start at the beginning. Uh, what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way? And I'll start out with one that I think I'm curious to get your thought on this. So, for whatever reason, I never even started growing anything in pots. I just I never wanted to, whether it be liners, I know people use the Stewie, those tall plastic liner sized ones, and you have round pots right behind you, I can see, but I know that you have nursery bags as well. I went gung ho on the nursery bags. Now, mind you, on like a 3 gallon or 5 gallon, I'll do pots, but all my liner and even some of my larger 1 gallon, even some of the 3 gallons, I do pot or I do our nursery bags as well. Why did you choose nursery bags or pots as you started this entire journey? How is that? How has your opinion changed as well over time?
The that was honestly at your recommendation, because like I said, we both started right at like the same point of let's start germinating everything we can find, and we both had tons of community pots going, and then you went into warp speed, and for whatever reason, I think it was because of the greenhouse. Really, I knew I had to kind of lay back a little bit, um, and it took me a long time to catch back up to get like close to the same level that you're at. So it was you honestly feeding me a lot of recommendations and like what's working for you, what you're doing, and you said, hey, check out these nursery bags. They're super cheap, and that's a big problem. Is if you're gonna get pots, and pots are, I don't know, for a small like a half gallon size or whatever. If you wanted the equivalent of a pot, you could get 100. Well, not 100. I mean, so a bag of those 100 nursery bags that I get, the size that I get, which I call like a half gallon, I can get 100 of them for $13.
Mm.
If I wanted to get 100 like 4-inch deep pots, which is
Yep.
like equivalent, those are like $1 a piece. I'm gonna spend like $100 on those pots. Why would I do that? The pots break down over time too because I've used all this stuff and experimented. So the nursery bags break down, and then I'll throw them out. But they're so cheap, and the pot's gonna break down after it's in the sun and you water it, and they get brittle. You know what happens to them.
Yep.
I'm gonna throw those out too, and especially if I'm just growing it in a nursery bag and I'm gonna sell it, the plant is the same quality as if it's in a pot, but that person that buys it, they're just going to take the bag and throw it in the trash after they plant it. So this is just being smart with like, if I've got to buy 2,000 containers for plants in a given year, maybe, do I want to spend $2,000 or do I want to spend a few hundred,
Well, I think I think that goes back to everything you and I are saying is back to trial and error, right? I think,
Yeah.
one of the things that you and I are able to offer other people, whether they want to listen or not, is some of the stuff that they might not want. You don't want to repeat the mistakes or our learnings because we've got, like you said, it's 2026. I've been at this since I want to say fall of 2021 or something like that. Early fall of 2021, I got my first seeds locally, and I still have some of those miners actually in my shop that are growing from a local miner ecotype. And I want to say it's because I'm brilliant, but that's not even close to being the case. It was more of un, unbeknownst to me, you can pack more nursery bags together than you can pots. There's less of a wasted space in between. Um, there's a lot of options for sizes of nursery bags. I've learned that many of them, like you said, you can grow half gallon, 1 gallon. There's some bigger ones that I have. I've got my 3 gallon size. I have Birmingham's, Rosy Eyes, Ardomingensis. I got a whole bunch of the older ones that are in these. They're like 6 inches wide by, I want to say, 14 inches tall. Like they're big. And it's not out of anything special, but it's just out of a matter of I can leave them in there. I've just learned some of these things have been in there for 3 years and you don't have to pot them up. I just really have no time or no interest in potting stuff up every single year. So I just kind of have taken this whole decision of uh, put them in larger nursery bags, knowing that it might be more upfront cost in soil, but I don't have to mess with them every single year. I can literally throw a strap leaf seedling that I'm just now separating into a 12-inch tall bag, and it's going to grow there for the next 4 years, unless it gets bought, obviously. And the other thing is, I've also found that back to, the thing everyone thinks is easy, but it's not. This whole concept of, um, you know, being able to ship, right? That's a whole nother show. How do you guys ship? How have you done the whole system of shipping like that? That's an entire 2 hour conversation. But it's so easy to wrap these bags, never take them out, no bare root. You just wrap the bag, you put them in the boxes, and it's like my kids have joked that they look like a drug bundle. You just pack these things up. They're so tightly wrapped, and you wrap them in there, and you've got a system, and they look really, really good. Yeah, my kids watch all the Nat Geo shows of the border stuff, right? So they're like, these things look like they're just wrapped so well. And so I don't bare root anything. I don't have any issues. So it's for a couple of reasons I've decided to do nursery bags. But yes, the cost is one of them. A lot less waste and just what you can put and how much you're able to cram in your space as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just not having that lip on the top, and
Yep.
if even if you had square pots, imagine you had square pots with no lip, you would
Yeah.
think they would pack together really good, like in a certain space. But a nursery bag, for whatever reason, even with more soil in it, you can fit more in a smaller spot for sure. Like I know what you mean exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, starting out, that's the problem is space, right? Like you've got to fit as much as you can in a small area. And even now having a greenhouse, it was full instantly. As soon as it was built, I had enough stuff that I piled everything in here and with shelves ringing the whole thing where I'm like, oh crap, like I've
Yeah.
really got to buckle down and sell this stuff so I can start doing more, you know? Um, but here's another thing that I had to learn because you're asking me like learning lessons, right?
Yeah.
Mine was if I can get 50 seeds from wherever I'm getting them back in the day, why wouldn't I just get 100? So I had, and I know you did this too because we both were growing them. Man, I had 100 Sabal Yappa, 100 Sabal Maritima, and a little less, like 50 Sabal Moritiformis, right? That takes up a lot of room, a lot of real estate. You got to watch what you can sell and what people are buying because why grow something, hang on to it, let it take up real estate, and you're going to invest your time, more fertilizer every year, potting it up, watering it, and then it doesn't even sell, you know? So a lot of what we do is it's market demand. Like nobody, not get me wrong, I have sold some Yappas, Maritimas, and Mortiformis, but I've got a lot of those original ones are still with me, and I've got a hard decision to make because they do need to get potted up. Do I pot up half, and now I've got a more valuable, bigger size Maritima? Probably so. You know, I'll do half of them, but guaranteed, I don't want to take up more room than they have. So if I'm going from half gallon to 1 gallon, I'm going to take half of those and they're going to go straight in the compost pile. And now there's,
You probably, with that statement, you probably just had people's eyes like, pop out of their head and their eyebrows are like, wait, you take 50 sable seedlings and you throw them in the garbage?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he said that, guys. That's what he's saying. Like that's you, you and I have made this comment before. That's when you know you've turned into like, the Pablo Escobar of sables. Like when you've got so many seedlings that you just don't know what to do with them. I felt so bad doing that. Tom McClendon told me, I told Tom that, and Tom goes, "You have no, I don't want to tell you how many things have hit my compost pile because I just can't can't pot them up. And he's right. That's exactly the point. The other thing I'll say is, uh, you and I have talked about this too, is the learning lesson of having to change your brain from a hobby grower, and not even a hobby grower, from having to change your brain from just a regular guy that's got palms in his backyard who loves palms, changing your mindset from that to somebody who, just like you said, we can't hold on to things forever because we have other things that people want. That we Yappas are great, but the market for Yappas is very, very small. I got my Maritimas and Yappas at like buy one get one free, and I still have a couple of Maritimas that I wish, if anybody wants them, they're in my store. Uh, Buy one get one free. But you and I have made this comment to each other several times of having to change our mindset from I seek out the coolest stuff, and I just realized that some stuff, not everyone is like me, right? And so what I mean by that is I seek out some interesting rare things and I grow them. And I just want to have all of them. It's like Pokemon. Like I want to collect all of them. And then I
Yeah,
realize that some of the stuff that I sell out of the fastest that I need to grow more of, which I'm doing this year, is like Brazoriensises because there's a larger market. There's an unmet demand for people who ship those. And I've even found that I live in Texas and Mexicanas to me, I love them, but I get Mexicana requests all the time and I'm nearly sold out of them. So I'm germinating not 25 right now, but I'm germinating like two or 300. And so I've learned over the years of don't think like me, where I look for the rare stuff. I need to make sure that I cater to everybody and know my audience, right? So
sure.
we have to kind of change our mindset a little bit. And I think you and I have done a good job of that. Even it took me a little bit of time. I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard to throw the first couple of things in the garbage or in the compost pile. I'm like, I feel bad doing this, but you have to.
Oh, and you're exactly right. But because at first we looked at like having all of these palm trees as like gold, and like for me,
Yes.
I was willing to travel, mail order stuff, pretty much anything that you name it, and I was willing to do it to get my hands on what I wanted, plant wise. So then, fast forward, I've got all this stuff, and like you said, like I'm not a different person. I still love palm trees, and I still love plants, and but now the focus is different. It's I've got stuff that's wasting space, my time and energy, and it's not going to sell. So if I'm doing this as a business, I've just got to make room, and they just hit the compost pile, and that's it. The same thing with what I really had to change this year was starting way more community pots, like way more. And even if I put 100 seeds into a like a 3 gallon pot, which is real, I like to do that because it gives them a nice root development when I go to pot them up. But I'll look at it. How many am I going to sell of these this year and next year? Maybe 30. All right, 30 it is. And I'll pot up 40 just in case, if some
Yep.
of them bite the dust. The rest, 60 of them, bang, compost pile. And I look at them every time I'm doing it. And I'm like, I know I grew you out and you didn't get a chance to grow up. That's how it goes. It's a business, man.
That's it, man. You said the key word there. It literally has it's business, guys. I'm sorry. There's no don't take it personally, man. It's and it's funny because not only, you made the comment of community pots, right? But when you sit there, I'm like you. I get pots and I at times have, man, I did a Brazoriensis pot last year that had probably about, oh man, 200. And I got like 100 through. And, everybody has their own method, but I take my community pot, I put it upside down, I carefully take it apart, and I go to my potting station and I go in the corner and I push all the dirt over and I put the whole pot straight down in there and I peel off a section at a time and I refill the dirt back over the pot. There's been times, man, where I'm busy. I have a family. Once we hit sports season, I'm out of the house all the time. We're so busy. It takes me 3 weeks to pot up a community pot. And I
Yep.
found that you could just, if you leave them like that, you give them some water, man, they're good for a long time. So I find myself weeks at times potting stuff up. But yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I've learned that, no offense, there's just some things that at some point I don't need any more of.
Yep.
And I think part of our experience and learning over the years is truly learning what we need to sell and what we need to grow and how much we need to grow of it. I am at times a little bit surprised, throughout this whole journey, but there's times where I'm like, I made this comment to you even earlier this year. I was like, man, it was a quiet December or November, just a handful or two of orders, but it's the winter time. And all of a sudden something flipped in the last 45 days and I've been shipping like 50, 60 palms a week. And I told my wife, I told you, I'm like, I'm gonna sell out of a lot of my greenhouse. Like, holy cow. So
Uh-huh.
I kickstarted my community pots, but it's funny, man. It's a constant learning process. You never know what's going to happen in the next couple months, and you learn your customers, you learn what people want, they learn to ask you questions, they learn to trust you, and it's kind of fun, man. I enjoy it.
Man, I've got so much stuff I don't want to forget that I want to mention. One thing for sure, I'm telling you this as a friend. Go in the next few days and pick out your best Maritima you have left and put that thing in a 5 gallon or 7 gallon pot and just let it hang out with you for a few years because okay, you can't plant one, that's fine, but you can still enjoy it. Do it. I'm telling you.
I shouldn't throw it away. I got
No,
two left. I
but
have
keep
two.
keep one. You got to keep
Should.
one.
I should, man. I mean, yeah, it's I should. It's funny. We've got about 8.5 minutes left. So one of the things I remember, just to go down a little bit of nostalgia before we tease part two. I was looking back at my Gmail back when you and I first started talking. I met you on Palm Talk, and I knew he's a cool cat. So I'm gonna talk to this guy. And you and I had a friendship from the minute we started talking. And I look back at my Gmail because you encouraged me. You were like, I was thinking everyone has to have a name. What kind of a name do I do? And you're like, Sable King of Texas. And I was like, it's kind of cool. It's got a cool ring to it. So I got my Gmail back in January of 2021. And I just went back and I said this on the last show, but you were the first email I got and you responded back to me. And so I thank you, brother, as for all the years you've been a part of my Palm life, for all your help, all your guidance, all your taking my nonsensical comments and all the stuff that we do every single day and just always being around, man. So I just appreciate you always being around, man.
Oh my God, we touched on this the first episode, and man, my sentiments are the same. Like I had this inkling in my head that I wanted to grow a lot and sell a lot, and really going to two nurseries set that in stone. Going to Plant Delights
Oh
in
yeah.
North Carolina, and then going to Gary's nursery in person. After looking on his website for so many years, I finally made the trip and went out there, and that was in 2021. I went to both of those, and hearing their story, like Tony Avent, and then hearing Gary's story, I was like, you know what? And then Gary said something to me while I was there that first time. He was like, "Man, you love palms about as much as I do." He was like, "You can have your own nursery one day. I can see it." And I left from there, and on the drive home, I was like, "I'm doing it. I don't care what it takes. I think what he's doing is badass. If I can grow plants and sell them, and I get to hang out with him every day, I'm doing it. And he basically said you can do it. He gave me kind of permission, but um, I had that inkling that I was gonna do it, and then literally credit to you, man, because you went into warp speed after we started, but every step of the way you're encouraging me too. Hey, why don't you did you have your goddamn business email set up yet? No, dude, I'm not ready yet. Why not? It doesn't you don't need a greenhouse. Sell the stuff from your driveway, And all of your, me pestering you a lot has paid off, and then you pestering me a lot has paid off. So um a lot of where I'm at is I have to credit you for that too, man. So thank you, seriously, thank you.
No, man, I really do feel, back when you and I started, one of the ideas that we had was to call myself the Sable King of the South and you the Sable King of the North. I almost feel
Yeah,
like even though that's not the name, I feel like we've already done that. I
yeah,
don't
sure,
I don't know anybody else outside of Gary and commercial growers that probably have as many, amateur nursery folks out there that have, the name, the following, the amount of palms, and the stupidity, I'd say stupidity to continue doing what we do because it is kind of wild. It's an adventure, but I really enjoy it, man. It's been fun. And this podcast, I'll say this is like extra fun because this is you and I have made this comment. You and I talk like this all the time, all the time. And little known fact, everybody, I have never met Teddy in person. So I've known this guy since 2021, actually late 2020, back when I met you on Palm Talk. But I've known you since
yeah, yeah.
2020, and I've never met this guy in person. That's going to change hopefully soon. We're going to tease a little bit of that soon, but we're many of you on Facebook have heard me talking about my ranch in East Texas. I've done a lot of prep work out there to get it ready to plant some stuff around our cabin. But I hope to do an on-site, not just planting with a couple of people, but hopefully Teddy's able to make it down and we're able to record a couple episodes in person. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited to actually meet you and actually shake your hand. So that'll be good.
Oh no, we're doing it for sure.
Yeah,
That is set in. Um,
that's going to be fun.
this is one of those things where like we've talked so much and shared so much that if you showed up at my door, you're coming in to sit down and eat. You get a room, and I trust you with my family, my life, with everything. That's the kind of relationship me and you have, for
I
sure.
I appreciate that. My kids, like the only Teddy my kids know is you. Everyone's always like Teddy from Tennessee. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. So yeah, you're part of my family. Unbeknownst to you, you're already part of my family. Um,
Back.
so we're gonna do a part two of this. This was part one. I think for part two, one of the things that we talked a little bit about our, history, how we got here. One of the things I want to do in the next part because it does need its own thing is truly talk about how you went from hobby growing to turning this, getting things like your nursery license. I got my nursery license. I've done the incorporation stuff. We've both collectively have turned this into a business. So I think for part two, because I think people will appreciate hearing the amount of work because when people are buying a palm off of Etsy or off of eBay or off of whatever, they just see a palm for X price. But how we described here today, I don't think people realize from getting the seed to germinating to potting it up to growing it to potentially having it for 3 or 4 years in our greenhouse, and for me carrying it back and forth from the driveway to the garage and all this other stuff. But like there's a ton of blood, sweat, and tears. Honestly, most of the time, a lot of blood. Like I've cut myself so many times doing stuff with these palms and just hurt myself. So I think for the next part, we'll truly walk through the evolution and how we went from a hobby grower to amateur nurseries. And hopefully in the next chapter, we can do a lot more than that and turn ourselves into something else. So I think that's my hopes in this next part.
we'll make it happen.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts, Teddy, prior to ending this?
Yeah, let's record part two, episode three, episode five, because Tom's going to be four, episode six. I want to do them all right now because, like, literally, I told you one of the coolest things was I I have like a 45-minute commute to work on the way home. What's the perfect length to put on? I put on our Palmcast and listened to it a few times last week while I was driving home, and I'm as much of a fan of this thing as I anybody else, and we're making it. You know what I mean?
I love it, man. My kids had listened to it. I walked in the room and they had it on in the background. I'm like, "What are you listening to?" Like this, it's the Palmcast. I'm like, "Oh
Yep.
my gosh, yeah." I know you're working on some stickers and stuff like that. So we'll start off the next show talking about some of the things that we have planned, and then we'll continue on with part two. So I will say for everybody out there, I say thank you. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate you guys listening to us and being our support. And I'll let you say your little piece here, Teddy, on the way out.
Yeah. Same thing, man. I think if we had zero viewers, we're gonna do this anyways, because we like it. Me and you could be our only views and our own and we would still do it, but we've got tons of stuff in the works. And I just want to tell everybody watching that the Palmcast is not Joe Rogan size. So
Yet.
we're here for you guys. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, man, reach out. Message on here in the comments for the Palmcast. You can reach us on Facebook, eBay, Etsy, all of our locations, and we want to talk to you and make this bigger, and we're all just going to grow together.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. I find myself rather accessible, and people who buy from either you or myself know that we answer pretty quickly in the comments on these videos and all that kind of stuff. So we will do a part two. Part two, we're gonna go through everything we just talked about, and I thank everybody for paying attention to part one. And we will talk to everybody in part two. We got some pretty exciting stuff coming up as well. So thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you the next time.
The
See you guys.